Before we begin, take a moment to find your own comfort. Adjust your pillows, pull the blanket up to your chin. Feel the support of the mattress beneath you, a surface far softer than anything the world knew for thousands of years. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Unclench your jaw. Let the events of your day fade into the background, becoming as distant as the history we are about to explore. Tonight, we are not going to a fantasy world. We are not going to a place of magic or high adventure. We are going to the past, the real, tactile, heavy past. We are going to step into the boots of a figure often romanticized in movies and video games, the medieval assassin. But we are not here for the kill. We are not here for the parkour or the excitement. We are here for the reality. We are here to feel the weight of the world as it was, a sensation so heavy and slow that it might just help you drift off into a deep, dreamless sleep. Imagine the year as 1192, or perhaps 1348. The specific date matters less than the atmosphere. The world is gray. The sky is a flat, expansive sheet of slate, unbroken by the sun. And it is raining. It is that steady, relentless European drizzle that doesn't seem to fall from the sky so much as it simply manifests in the air, soaking everything through to the bone. You are standing on a rooftop, but it is not the flat, convenient rooftop of a modern building. It is a slanted, slippery slope of slate tiles, slick with moss and centuries of grime. You are crouching in the shadow of a chimney, waiting. You have been waiting for 4 hours. You will likely wait for 4 more. And the first thing you notice, the overwhelming sensation that defines your entire existence in this moment, is the hood. In the stories we tell ourselves today, the assassin's hood is a thing of beauty. It is sleek. It is aerodynamic. It billows dramatically in the wind, framing the face in a perfect rectangle of mystery. It suggests speed, agility, and a kind of dark elegance. The reality, however, is simply heavy. The hood you are wearing is made of wool, rough, coarse, homespun wool. It was sheared from a sheep that lived on a muddy hillside, spun by tired hands, and woven into a fabric designed for one purpose: survival. It was not made to look cool. It was made to keep you from dying of hypothermia. But wool has a property that anyone in the Middle Ages knew intimately. When it gets wet, it changes. Dry, the hood weighs perhaps a pound or 2. It is scratchy, yes, but manageable. But after 4 hours in the relentless drizzle, the wool has become a sponge. It has absorbed the rain, drinking it in until the fibers are swollen and saturated. The hood now weighs 5 times what it did this morning. Close your eyes and try to imagine that specific weight. It is not a sharp pressure. It is a dull, dragging heaviness. It pulls down on your forehead. It drags at the back of your neck. The fabric, once filled with air pockets that provided insulation, is now a sodden, dense mat collapsing against your skull. There is no billowing in the wind. The wet wool clings to you. It pastes itself against your ears, muffling the sounds of the city below. The silence inside the hood is profound, broken only by the sound of your own slow breathing and the rhythmic pat-pat-pat of raindrops hitting the heavy fabric directly above your cranium. Gravity is your constant companion. You can feel the water collecting at the hem of the hood, right around your shoulders. Every few minutes, a cold droplet escapes the weave and trickles down. It slides past the collar of your tunic, tracing a shivering line down the back of your neck, a stark reminder of the cold that sits just millimeters away from your skin. This is the unglamorous truth of the trade. You are not a ghost of the wind. You are a person wrapped in a wet blanket sitting on a cold roof. Let's focus on the smell. The sense of smell is often left out of our daydreams, but here in the quiet dark, it is unavoidable. Wet wool has a very specific scent. It smells distinctive, musky, and animalistic. It smells like the livestock it came from. Mixed with that is the smell of the dye, perhaps a cheap walnut dye or woad, releasing a faint, earthy, slightly bitter aroma as it dampens. And then there is the itch. Modern fabrics are miracles of softness. Cotton, polyester blends, silk, they glide over the skin. Medieval wool does not glide, it grabs. Even though you are wearing a linen coif, a small skull cap underneath the heavy hood to protect your hair, the edges of the wool still brush against your jawline and your brow. It is a low-level irritation. It isn't sharp pain, it's a constant rough friction. Every time you turn your head to scan the courtyard below, the wet, heavy fabric drags across your skin, exfoliating it in the most unpleasant way possible. It is a reminder of the texture of history. History was not smooth. It was rough, abrasive, and itchy. As you sit there, let your mind wander to the concept of peripheral vision. In the movies, the assassin sees everything. But in this hood, you see almost nothing. The heavy fold of the cloth hangs over your eyes like the eaves of a house. To see to your left or right, you cannot simply move your eyes. You must turn your entire head, dragging that sodden weight with you. The hood creates a tunnel. You are living inside a personal cave of damp textile. The world outside is merely a narrow strip of gray rain and gray stone. This isolation is surprisingly sleepy. The lack of visual stimulation, the muffling of sound, the rhythmic drumming of the rain, it all induces a state of trance. You are not hyper-alert. You are bordering on hibernation. The cold seeps into your extremities, telling your body to slow down, to conserve energy. Your heart rate slows, your breathing deepens. You are merely a statue of flesh and wool, waiting for time to pass. Consider the strain on your neck. We rarely think about the muscles required to hold up a head that is suddenly adorned with pounds of waterlogged fabric. The trapezius muscles, those cords running from your neck to your shoulders, begin to burn with a low, dull fire. It is an ache of endurance. It is the feeling of carrying a burden that cannot be set down. You shift your weight slightly, the slate tiles crunching softly under your boots. You pull the cloak tighter, though it offers little warmth now. The cloak is an extension of the hood, yards more of this heavy, wet wool wrapping your body. It feels less like clothing and more like you are trapped inside a collapsing tent. The fantasy of the assassin is one of freedom, the ability to climb anywhere, go anywhere, do anything. But the reality of the gear is confinement. You are swaddled, you are encumbered. If you had to run right now, you wouldn't sprint like a gazelle. You would lumber like a bear waking from winter. The weight anchors you to the roof. And yet, there is a strange comfort in this misery. There is a simplicity to it. There are no emails to answer here. There are no deadlines. There is no complex social anxiety. There is only the rain, the stone, and the wool. Your world has shrunk down to the immediate sensation of the fabric against your skin. The dampness creates a seal between you and the world. You are hidden, not just from your target, but from everything. In a way, the hood is a cocoon. Inside this scratchy, smelly, wet cave, you are entirely alone with your thoughts. The rest of the medieval world, the shouting merchants, the clattering carts, the church bells, is muffled and distant. You can close your eyes inside the hood. No one can see you. You can take a deep breath, inhaling the scent of rain and wet stone. You can let the heaviness of the cloak ground you, pressing you down, telling you that you are here, you are solid, you are real. This is the part of history they don't teach you. They teach you about the kings and the battles. They don't teach you about the hours spent staring at a puddle, watching the ripples form and vanish, form and vanish. They don't teach you about the profound boredom of the stakeout. The assassin's life was 99% waiting. And waiting in the Middle Ages was an art form. There were no phones to scroll. There were no books in your pocket. There was only the mind. You had to make friends with your own thoughts. You had to learn to exist in the space between moments. As the rain intensifies, the hood becomes even heavier. The water begins to drip from the tip of the hood, right in front of your face. Drip, drip, drip. It is a metronome. A slow, liquid clock counting down the seconds of the night. Drip, drip, drip. It is almost hypnotic. You watch the water bead up on the frayed edge of the wool, growing heavy, fighting gravity, until it finally releases and falls into the darkness below. You watch another one form. It takes 5 seconds. You count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fall. This is your entertainment. This is your universe. The coolness of the air is stark, but your body has created a microclimate inside the layers of wool and linen. It isn't warm exactly, but it is stable. It is the warmth of a trapped animal. You can feel your own body heat radiating out, trying to push back the dampness, getting trapped in the dense fibers of the tunic. It is a battle between your blood and the weather, fought silently, inch by inch, within the weave of the cloth. Dispelling the myth of the cool assassin allows us to relax. If we thought you had to be a superhero, we would feel tension. We would expect action. But knowing that the medieval assassin was just a cold, wet person waiting for a door to open makes them human. It makes them like us. They were tired. They were uncomfortable. They probably wanted to go home, take off the heavy, wet boots, and sit by a fire. They were just doing a job, and it was a job that involved a lot of physical discomfort. Feel the sympathy for that figure on the roof, and as you feel that sympathy, feel the contrast with your own situation. You are not on a cold roof. You are not wearing 20 pounds of wet wool. You are dry. You are warm. Your clothes are light and soft, or perhaps you are wearing nothing at all, letting your skin breathe. The air in your room is temperature controlled. You are safe. The heavy hood of history is not on your head. You are free of it. But let's linger just a moment longer in the past, under that gray sky. The assassin shifts again, trying to relieve the pressure on their shoulders. The leather strap of a satchel digs into the collarbone. Everything is heavy. The belt is heavy with iron buckles. The boots are heavy with mud. The dagger on the hip is a lump of cold steel. The world is made of weight. And as the night deepens, the shadows lengthen, merging with the gray of the rain. The assassin closes their eyes for a second, just resting them. The sound of the rain on the hood becomes a white noise, a wash of static that scrubs away the sharp edges of thought. Shh, shh, shh. The sound of rain on wool is softer than rain on a window. It is a dull thudding, a muffled impact. It sounds like a heartbeat. It sounds like the earth breathing. The weight of the hood is a blanket. It presses down, demanding stillness. You cannot move quickly, so you do not move at all. You surrender to the weight. You surrender to the wet. You surrender to the long, slow wait. The medieval night is dark in a way we can scarcely imagine today. There is no light pollution. When the sun goes down, the world disappears. The assassin is wrapped in true darkness, a velvety, thick blackness that swallows the edges of the buildings. Only the gray sheen of wet surfaces reflect the moonlight hidden behind the clouds. In this darkness, the heavy hood feels like a shield. It hides the face, yes, but it also hides the world from the wearer. It narrows the focus down to nothingness. So, as we leave the assassin on their perch, huddled against the chimney, enduring the damp and the cold, we take with us only the feeling of relief. Relief that we do not have to carry that weight. We can feel our own heads sinking into the pillow, light and unburdened. We can feel our blankets resting gently over us, dry and warm. We can let go of the need to be vigilant, the need to watch the street, the need to endure. We can simply be. The hood is left behind in the rain. The weight is lifted. And as we move toward the next chapter of this long, quiet night, we carry with us the soothing knowledge that the hardest part of the past is over, and all that remains for us now is to rest. You have left the cold, wet roof. You have come down from the heights of the city, through the narrow, winding streets that smell of wood smoke and damp earth, and you have found a small, secluded room. It is safe here. The heavy wooden door is barred. The stone walls are thick. The rain is now just a distant murmur against the shutters, a soft backdrop to the silence of the room. But the work is not done. For a medieval assassin, the work is never truly done. The mission might be over, but the maintenance is eternal. You sit at a rough-hewn wooden table. In front of you sits a single candle. It is a tallow candle, made of rendered animal fat, and it sputters quietly, casting a warm, flickering sphere of orange light in the center of the darkness. The light dances on the grain of the wood, highlighting the scratches and stains of the table's surface. And in the center of that pool of light lies your tool, the dagger. It is not the gleaming, pristine weapon of a movie poster. It is a piece of high-carbon steel that has spent the last 6 hours in the damp, humid air of a rainy night. And high-carbon steel has one desperate desire. It wants to rust. It wants to return to the earth as orange dust. Your job, night after night, hour after tedious hour, is to prevent that from happening. You pick up the blade. It feels cold and heavy in your hand. You can see the faint, dull patches where moisture has already begun to attack the metal. If you leave it, even for one night, the edge will pit, the integrity will fail. And so, the ritual begins. You reach for the whetstone. It is a rectangular block of gray stone, smooth on one side, coarse on the other. It is cool to the touch, dry and gritty. You place a drop of oil on the stone, thick, viscous oil that smells faintly of olives, or perhaps something muskier, like goose fat. The oil sits as a perfect bead for a moment before you spread it across the stone's surface with your thumb. Now the sound begins, the sound that defines your evenings. Shh. You place the heel of the blade against the stone at a precise 20-degree angle. You push the steel forward, sweeping it down the length of the stone in an arc. Shh. It is a dry, scraping sound. It is the sound of friction. It is the sound of metal being ground away, microscopic layer by microscopic layer. It is not a harsh sound. It is rhythmic. It is a white noise generator from the 12th century. Shh. You do this 10 times on one side. You count them in your head. 1, 2, 3, 4. The motion comes from the shoulder, not the wrist. Your wrist must remain locked, rigid, ensuring the angle never wavers. If you wobble, you ruin the edge. You must be a machine. Shh. 5, 6, 7. Watch the oil on the stone. As you sharpen the blade, the clear oil turns black. It is becoming a slurry of metal filings and stone dust. It creates a dark, greasy paste that streaks across the gray surface. This is the material reality of the job. It is dirty. It stains your fingertips a deep, indelible gray. It gets under your fingernails. Shh. 8, 9, 10. You flip the blade, the other side. The rhythm continues. There is a profound boredom to this. It is the kind of boredom that acts as a sedative. There is no adrenaline here. There is no thrill of the chase. There is only the repetition. Your eyes glaze over as you stare at the contact point between the steel and the stone. The candlelight reflects off the metal, a tiny dancing star that slides back and forth, back and forth. Hypnotic. The mind wanders, but it cannot wander too far or your hand will slip. So your mind stays in a shallow drift, tethered to the movement. You think about the grain of the steel. You think about the geology of the stone. You think about how many thousands of times you have made this exact motion. Shh. The sound fills the small room. It absorbs the silence. It becomes the heartbeat of the night. Once the primary sharpening is done, you wipe the blade with a rag. The rag is old, stiff with dried oil and grime. It is a rough linen that feels like canvas. You wipe away the black slurry, revealing the fresh, silver line of the edge. It glints in the candlelight, sharp and hungry. But you are not finished. Now comes the honing. You switch to a leather strop, a strip of thick, tanned cowhide nailed to a block of wood.
The sound changes now. It is no longer the scratchy shh of the stone. It is a softer, faster sound. Swish, 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 swish. The leather polishes the edge. It aligns the microscopic burrs of metal. This motion is faster, lighter. It is like stroking the fur of a cat, but with a deadly intent. Swish, swish. The smell of the leather rises up, rich, earthy, and pungent. It smells of the tannery, of oak bark and curing salts. It is a heavy, masculine scent that fills your nose and coats the back of your throat. This process takes time. You cannot rush it. If you rush, the blade is dull. If the blade is dull, it catches. If it catches, you fail. So you sit and you stroke the steel against the leather, over and over again until the metal looks like a mirror. You hold the dagger up to the candle. You look at your own reflection in the blade. It is a distorted, warm reflection, wrapped in the orange glow of the flame. Your eyes look tired. The shadows under them are deep. The work is physically easy, but mentally exhausting. It is the exhaustion of patience. Next, you must tend to the rust prevention. You take a small pot of tallow paste. It is thick, white, and greasy. You dip a finger into it. The texture is slick, melting slightly from the warmth of your skin. You apply it to the flat of the blade. You rub it in circular motions, massaging the metal. You are sealing the steel against the air. You are wrapping it in a protective coat. The sensation is strangely intimate. You are caring for this object as a mother might care for a child or a groom for a horse. You know every nick in the metal, every scratch on the guard. The grease coats your fingers. It feels slippery and warm. You rub it into the crossguard. You rub it into the pommel. The smell of the fat is strong now, dominating the room. It is not a floral scent. It is the scent of a kitchen, of a butcher shop, of utility. And it is not just the dagger. You look at the table. There is the short sword. There are the throwing knives. There is the chainmail shirt you took off an hour ago. The chainmail. If the dagger was tedious, the chainmail is a nightmare of monotony. It lies in a heap on the table, a puddle of steel rings. Thousands of them, each one linked to 4 others, and every single one of them is wet. You cannot just hang it up. If you do, it will rust into a solid block of orange junk by morning. You have to dry it. You pick up a sack of bran, dry grain husks, or perhaps a barrel of sand mixed with vinegar if the rust is already bad. But tonight, it is just maintenance. You put the mail shirt into a barrel half filled with sand and oil. You begin to roll the barrel. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The sound is low and heavy, like distant thunder. The sand scours the rings. The oil coats them. But you have to do this for 20 minutes, maybe 30. You sit there, rocking the barrel back and forth with your foot, or rolling it on the floor with your hands. Rumble, rumble. It is a mindless task. Your body moves automatically. Your eyes are heavy. The candle has burned down an inch. The wax is dripping down the side, forming strange melted stalactites. The flame flickers, making the shadows in the corners of the room jump and stretch. You are tired. Your shoulders ache from the weight of the hood earlier. Your fingers are cramping from holding the whetstone. But the rhythm of the work is soothing. It is predictable. In a life filled with danger and uncertainty, the maintenance of gear is the one thing you can control completely. You take the mail out. You shake it. The sand falls away with a soft hissing sound on the stone floor. You inspect the rings. They are dull gray, but clean. They smell of oil and iron. The scent is heavy in the air, a metallic tang that tastes like a copper coin on your tongue. Finally, you turn to the leather.
The belt, the scabbard, the boots. Medieval leather is not soft and supple like a modern jacket. It is thick, hard, and stubborn. The rain has made it stiff. As it dries, it wants to crack. You take a different rag, this one soaked in beeswax and neatsfoot oil. You pick up your left boot. The leather is cold and damp. You begin to work the oil into the material. You have to push hard. You use your thumbs to knead the wax into the pores of the hide. Rub, rub, rub. The friction generates heat. You can feel the leather warming up under your hands, becoming slightly more pliable. The smell of beeswax is sweeter, a gentle honey-like scent that cuts through the rancid tallow. It is a pleasant change. You work your way down the boot, the toe, the heel, the straps. You check the buckles. Iron buckles rust too. You dab a little grease on them. You fasten and unfasten them to make sure the pin moves freely. Click, clack, click, clack. You move to the other boot, then the belt, then the scabbard. It has been 2 hours. The candle is half gone. The room feels smaller, cozier. The rain outside has softened to a gentle mist, barely audible. The world has narrowed down to the circle of light on the table and the pile of maintained gear. There is a deep satisfaction in this visual. The dagger is sheathed. The sword is wrapped in oilcloth. The chainmail is dry and rolled. The boots are greased and standing by the door. Everything is ready. Everything is safe. The monotony has done its job. It has calmed your mind. It has scrubbed away the anxiety of the mission, just as the stone scrubbed away the burrs on the blade. The repetition has slowed your heart rate. The focus on microscopic details, the edge of a blade, the link of a chain, the pore of leather, has made the rest of the world disappear. You wipe your hands on a final clean rag. You look at your fingers. They are stained, calloused, and tired, but they are steady. You blow out the candle. The darkness rushes in instantly, but it is not a scary darkness. It is a soft, velvety darkness. The smell of the extinguished wick, that distinctive ribbon of smoke, hangs in the air for a moment, mingling with the oil and the leather. It is the scent of a job well done. You sit in the dark for a moment, listening. The shh of the stone is gone. The rumble of the barrel is gone. There is only the silence of the room and the sound of your own breathing. In and out, slow and deep. The gear is sleeping. The metal is resting. And now, finally, the assassin can rest too. The tools of the trade are prepared for tomorrow, which means you are free to let go of today. The boredom was necessary. The boredom was the bridge between the chaos of the outside world and the peace of sleep. You have crossed that bridge. The monotonous rhythm of the blade has cut the strings that held you to the day. You are drifting now, floating in the quiet dark, ready to find a bed that, while not soft by our standards, will feel like a cloud after the long, hard work of the night. The dagger is sharp. The armor is clean. The candle has been extinguished in the small room where you performed your maintenance. And now, the true reality of your profession begins. In the stories we play and watch today, moving from one city to another is a matter of a loading screen. You open a map, you select a destination, and in the blink of an eye, you are there. You traverse entire kingdoms in seconds. You skip the miles. You skip the mud. But you, the medieval assassin, do not have the luxury of fast travel. You do not have a horse. Horses are expensive, conspicuous, and require care you cannot provide while lurking in shadows. And so, you have the only engine that has served humanity for thousands of years, your legs. You step out of the city gates just as dawn is breaking. The sky is a bruised purple, lightening to a pale, watery gray. The rain from the previous night has stopped, but the world is left dripping. Ahead of you lies the road. To call it a road is generous by modern standards. There is no asphalt here. There is no gravel. There is only a strip of earth that has been beaten into submission by the passage of carts, cattle, and thousands of weary feet. It is a scar on the landscape, winding away into the mist, disappearing into the tree line. And it is made entirely of mud. This is your reality for the next 3 days. You have a target in a town 40 miles away, and you are going to walk every single inch of that distance. Adjust your pack.
It is a canvas sack slung over one shoulder, containing your dried food, a water skin, and a spare tunic. It isn't heavy, not at first, but you know the physics of travel. A 5-pound weight carried for 10 hours begins to feel like 50 pounds. You settle the strap into the groove of your shoulder, finding that familiar spot where it rubs the least. You take the first step. Squelch. Your boot sinks an inch into the clay. The mud of the Middle Ages is legendary. It is not just wet dirt, it is a living substance. It is thick, cloying, and adhesive. As you lift your foot, the mud fights to keep you. It creates a suction, a wet pop as your heel breaks free. Squelch, suck, pop. Squelch, suck, pop. This is the rhythm of your day. It is a slow, heavy beat, a tempo set by the viscosity of the earth. You leave the city behind. The smells of wood smoke and unwashed humanity fade, replaced by the smell of wet grass and rotting leaves. You enter the countryside. Here, the silence is profound. In the modern world, there is always a hum, tires on a highway, the buzz of electricity, the drone of a distant plane. Here, there is nothing but the wind and your own footsteps. The road enters a forest. This is not a manicured park. It is an ancient, dense European forest. The trees are massive oaks and beeches, their trunks thick with moss. Their branches interlock overhead, creating a tunnel of green and brown. The light here is dim, filtered through millions of leaves. It is a soft, underwatery kind of light that makes you feel as though you are swimming through the air rather than walking through it. Walking is a hypnotic act. At first, your mind races. You think about the mission. You think about the city you left. You worry about the strap on your shoulder. But after the first hour, the thinking stops. The brain, deprived of stimulation, begins to shut down its higher functions. You enter a state of trance. You are no longer a person with a name and a history. You are simply a machine designed to move forward. Left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot. Your eyes settle on the ground about 6 feet in front of you. You watch the texture of the road. You see the deep ruts carved by a wagon that passed this way weeks ago, now filled with stagnant brown water. You see the pebbles, smooth and gray. You see the intricate lace of a fern growing on the verge. The world passes by at 3 miles per hour. At this speed, you notice everything, yet you focus on nothing. The trees glide past in your peripheral vision, slow sentinels marking your progress. You pass an old stone marker, covered in lichen, leaning at a tired angle. It has been there since the Romans. It will be there long after you are gone. It is a reminder of the slowness of time. Your breathing settles into a cadence that matches your stride. In for 2 steps, out for 2 steps. The air is cool and damp. It tastes of oxygen and chlorophyll. It is clean air, heavy with moisture, soothing to the lungs. As the morning wears on, a light drizzle begins to fall again. It is not the heavy storm of the night before, but a fine mist. Inside the forest, the rain hits the canopy first. Listen to the sound. It is a vast, complex percussion. Millions of raindrops hitting millions of leaves. Tsk, 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 tsk. A gentle static hiss that wraps around you. Every now and then, a heavy drop accumulates on a branch high above and falls, plop, hitting the shoulder of your leather jerkin or the hood of your cloak. The forest floor absorbs the sound. There is no echo. The wet earth swallows the noise, creating a muffled, cozy acoustic environment. It feels like walking through a library. You adjust your pack again. The strap has begun to dig in. You shift it an inch to the left. The relief is instant, but temporary. Your legs are beginning to feel the miles. It is not a sharp pain, but a dull, low-humming warmth in the calves and hamstrings. It is the feeling of muscles working exactly as they were designed to work. There is a strange comfort in this exhaustion. It is honest. You are not stressed about politics or plots. You are simply dealing with the physical reality of distance. The road demands nothing of you but your patience.
You come to a clearing. A break in the trees reveals a rolling hillside, green and misty. In the distance, you see a shepherd and a flock of sheep. They are tiny white dots, barely moving. You do not wave. He does not wave. You are two ghosts passing in the vastness of the medieval landscape. You keep walking. The mud changes consistency. It becomes stickier, heavier. Your boots are now coated in a thick layer of brown earth, adding a pound of weight to each foot. You have to lift your knees higher. The motion becomes a lilt, a sway. You are a pendulum swinging through the mud. Step, drag, step, drag. Hunger arrives, not as a sudden pang, but as a slow hollowing of the stomach. You do not stop to eat. Stopping makes it harder to start again. You reach into your pouch and pull out a strip of dried meat, beef jerky, tough as shoe leather. You chew it rhythmically as you walk. It is salty and smoky. It requires effort to eat, giving your jaw something to do while your legs continue their endless churn. The afternoon stretches out. The light barely changes in the gray sky. It feels as if time has stopped, as if you are walking on a treadmill. The long road to nowhere feels literal. You cannot see the destination. You cannot see the beginning. You are suspended in the middle, in the liminal space of travel. This is where the assassin's patience is truly forged. It is not forged in the moments of waiting for the kill, but in these long, silent hours of transit. You learn to be alone with yourself. You learn to silence the inner voice that complains. You learn to just be. Your body temperature has regulated. The walking keeps you warm despite the damp air. You are a self-contained furnace, burning energy to conquer geography. Around mid-afternoon, the fatigue changes. It goes from a physical sensation to a mental sedation. The highway hypnosis of the 14th century sets in. You lose track of time completely. You aren't sure if you've been walking for 10 minutes or 10 hours. The sound of your boots is the only clock you need. Crunch on a patch of gravel. Squelch in a puddle. Thud on packed earth. You watch a beetle crawling across the path. It is moving slowly, struggling over a twig. You step carefully over it. You feel a kinship with the beetle. You are both just small things moving slowly across a very large world. The miles drift away behind you. You don't look back. There is no point. The road behind looks exactly like the road ahead. A ribbon of brown, a tunnel of green, a ceiling of gray. Your feet are sore now. The leather of your boots has softened with the damp, but the soles are thin. You can feel the contours of the earth, the roots of trees snaking under the path, the hidden stones. Your feet are reading the road like braille. It is a massage, albeit a rough one. As the light begins to fail, turning the gray sky to a deep charcoal, the forest seems to close in. The trees stand closer together. The shadows lengthen and merge. The birds stop singing, replaced by the occasional call of a crow returning to its roost. Caw, caw. The sound echoes slightly, lonely and stark. You are tired. It is a deep, marrow-deep tiredness. Your hips ache, your shoulders are stiff. But it is a good tiredness. It is the feeling of having used your body. You have not wasted this day. You have spent it converting energy into distance. You see a bend in the road ahead. A large, ancient oak tree marks a fork in the path. This is your landmark. You have made it. You haven't reached the town. That is still a day away. But you have reached the end of today's effort. The momentum carries you the last few hundred yards. Your body wants to stop, but your legs are in the habit of moving. You have to consciously tell them to slow down. The cessation of movement is a physical shock. When you finally stop and stand still, the world seems to keep moving for a second. The trees seem to sway. The ground feels like it is shifting. The silence rushes in, louder than before. You drop the pack from your shoulder. It hits the ground with a heavy thump.
The feeling of weightlessness is euphoric. You roll your shoulders, hearing the joints pop. You take a deep breath, filling your lungs with the cooling evening air. You look back the way you came. You can see your footprints in the mud, trailing back into the darkness of the trees. A long, winding chain of evidence that you exist, that you walked, that you endured. There was no magic, there was no teleportation. There was just you, the road, and the sheer will to keep moving. And now the road is done with you for the day. The mud releases its grip on your boots. The horizon stops retreating. You have arrived at the pause. The stillness descends upon you, heavy and sweet. You are miles from where you started. You are miles from where you are going. You are exactly in the middle of nowhere. And in this moment, with the quiet of the forest wrapping around you like a blanket, there is nowhere else you need to be. The walking is over. The resting begins. You have stopped walking. The road is behind you, vanishing into the gloom of the twilight. The trees stand silent sentinels around the clearing. But stopping is only the first step of the evening. Now you must face the second and perhaps the most difficult challenge of the day, finding a way to sleep. In the legends, the hero spreads a bedroll by a crackling campfire, gazing up at the stars, lulled to sleep by the romance of the wild. In reality, sleeping outdoors in medieval Europe is a recipe for pneumonia. You do not light a fire. A fire is a beacon. A fire says, "Here I am." And in your line of work, anonymity is more valuable than warmth. So there will be no crackling logs tonight. There will be no warmth. You spot a structure at the edge of a fallow field. It is an abandoned barn, or perhaps a shepherd's seasonal shelter. It leans precariously to the left, its timber frame gray and weathered by 100 winters. The roof is thatched, but the thatch is rotting, patchy like the fur of an old dog. You approach it slowly, your boots crunching on the dry weeds. You push the door open. It hangs on a single leather hinge and drags against the dirt floor with a heavy scrah. You step inside. The air here is different. It is still, but it is stale. It smells of old dust, of dry rot, and the faint lingering ammonia scent of animals that left a long time ago. It is darker inside than out. The moonlight slices through the gaps in the wooden slat walls, creating long, dusty beams of silver that cut across the darkness. These beams illuminate millions of floating dust motes, dancing in the stagnant air. This is your hotel for the night. You look at the floor. It is dirt, packed down so hard over the years that it has the density of concrete. In the corner, there is a pile of straw. In our modern imagination, a pile of straw sounds somewhat rustic and cozy. We imagine it soft, golden, and fluffy. But you know the truth about straw. You walk over to the pile and kick it gently. It rustles dryly. Straw is not cotton. It is the dried, hollow stalks of grain. It is brittle. It is sharp. It is essentially a pile of thousands of tiny yellow needles.
You drop your pack. You unbuckle your belt, the heavy leather falling away with a sigh of relief. You cannot take off your boots. If you need to run, you cannot be fumbling with laces in the dark. So, the boots stay on, heavy and constricting around your swollen ankles. You take your cloak, that same heavy, damp wool from the rooftop, and you try to shake it out. It is still moist. It will not dry tonight. You will be sleeping in a damp wrapper. You sit down on the straw. Crinkle, crunch, snap. The sound is loud in the silence. The straw compresses under your weight, but it does not cushion you. It merely shifts, creating lumps and valleys. You try to arrange it, to fluff it up, but straw does not fluff. It resists. You lie down. Immediately, you feel the lack of suspension. There are no springs here. There is no memory foam. There is only the unyielding earth beneath a thin layer of scratchy debris. Gravity, which felt like a burden while you were walking, now feels like an enemy. It pulls your heavy bones down into the hard ground. You feel the pressure points instantly. Your hip bone digs into the floor. Your shoulder blade presses against a hidden stone under the dirt. You shift. You turn to your back. Now your tailbone takes the weight. You turn to your other side. The hard leather of your jerkin digs into your ribs. There is no position that is comfortable. There is only the position that is least painful. And then there is the draft. The barn is not sealed. The gaps in the walls, the wattle and daub that is crumbled away, allow the wind to enter freely. But it doesn't just blow through, it whistles. Whoo! A thin, icy stream of air finds you. It is a laser beam of cold. It cuts through the darkness and hits the back of your neck. You pull the cloak up, burying your face in the scratchy wool. The draft moves. Now it is attacking your ankles. This is the chill of the history books. It is not a dramatic freezing. It is a persistent theft of your body heat. The damp clothes you are wearing conduct the cold right to your skin. You curl into a tight ball, the fetal position of survival, trying to trap a pocket of warm air between your chest and your knees. Let's take a moment right now to appreciate the contrast. Feel the surface beneath you at this very second. Feel the way your mattress rises to meet you. It is soft, yet supportive. It contours to the shape of your body. If you turn, it adapts. There are no stones digging into your hip. There are no sharp stalks of straw poking through your sheets. Feel the fabric against your skin, smooth cotton or perhaps flannel. It is dry, it is clean. It does not smell of old barns. Feel the air in your room. It is still. There are no icy drafts hunting for your neck. The temperature is controlled. You are wrapped in a cocoon of modern engineering designed solely for your comfort. The medieval assassin had none of this. Lying in the dark, the assassin listens to the sounds of the barn. The wind rattles the loose thatch on the roof. Scratch, scratch. Is that the wind, or is it a rat? Barns are never truly empty. You can hear the tiny, scurrying feet of mice in the rafters. They are busy. They are looking for the same thing you are, warmth and food. You hope they stay in the rafters. But you know that at some point in the night, a small, furry investigator might run across your legs. You are too tired to care. You close your eyes. The darkness is absolute now. Your body aches. The miles you walked today are throbbing in your legs. The muscles are cooling down, tightening up. You know that when you wake up in the morning, you will be stiff. You will creak like the old timber frame of the barn. But exhaustion is a powerful narcotic. Despite the stone floor, despite the needle-sharp straw, despite the cold draft, your body begins to shut down. The heaviness of the eyelids becomes greater than the discomfort of the hip. You try to find a mental escape. You visualize a fire. You visualize a hot bath. These are fantasies, distant and impossible, but they help. You adjust your head. You are using your pack as a pillow. It is lumpy, filled with hard tack and tools, but it elevates your head off the straw. The smell of the canvas and the leather is right under your nose. It is the scent of your life, travel, work, and weariness. The silence of the countryside is deep. Without the city walls, there are no church bells to mark the hours. Time dissolves. You are drifting on a raft of discomfort in a sea of night. The cold actually helps in one way. It demands stillness. To move is to lose heat. To move is to let the cold air under the cloak. So you lie perfectly still, paralyzed by the need for warmth. Your breathing slows. You can see your breath in the moonlight, little puffs of gray steam rising and vanishing into the rafters. Inhale, exhale. The draft whistles again, a lonely sound. Whoo! But you are safe here, relatively. The walls hide you from the road. The shadows hide you from the world. You are just another bundle of rags in a forgotten shed. As you drift deeper toward sleep, the hardness of the floor seems to soften slightly, or perhaps your body just goes numb. The sensory inputs fade. The scratchiness of the wool becomes a dull texture.
The smell of dust becomes neutral. You are a warrior, an agent of history, reduced to a person trying to get some rest in a box of wood and dirt. And as you leave the assassin there, shivering slightly in their sleep, curled up in the scratchy hay, turn your attention back to yourself. Wiggle your toes in your warm blankets. Feel the luxury of that movement. You are not wearing heavy, muddy boots. Your feet are free. Shift your shoulders. Feel the softness of your pillow. It is not a canvas sack filled with tools. It is a cloud. Take a deep breath of the clean, warm air in your room. It is still. There are no icy drafts hunting for your neck. The temperature is controlled. You are wrapped in a cocoon of modern engineering designed solely for your comfort. The medieval assassin had none of this. Lying in the dark, the assassin listens to the sounds of the barn. The wind rattles the loose thatch on the roof. Scratch, scratch. Is that the wind, or is it a rat? Barns are never truly empty. You can hear the tiny scurrying feet of mice in the rafters. They are busy. They are looking for the same thing you are, warmth and food. You hope they stay in the rafters, but you know that at some point in the night, a small, furry investigator might run across your legs. You are too tired to care. You close your eyes. The darkness is absolute now. Your body aches. The miles you walked today are throbbing in your legs. The muscles are cooling down, tightening up. You know that when you wake up in the morning, you will be stiff. You will creak like the old timber frame of the barn. But exhaustion is a powerful narcotic. Despite the stone floor, despite the needle-sharp straw, despite the cold draft, your body begins to shut down. The heaviness of the eyelids becomes greater than the discomfort of the hip. You try to find a mental escape. You visualize a fire. You visualize a hot bath. These are fantasies, distant and impossible, but they help. You adjust your head. You are using your pack as a pillow. It is lumpy, filled with hard tack and tools, but it elevates your head off the straw. The smell of the canvas and the leather is right under your nose. It is the scent of your life, travel, work, and weariness. The silence of the countryside is deep. Without the city walls, there are no church bells to mark the hours. Time dissolves. You are drifting on a raft of discomfort in a sea of night. The cold actually helps in one way. It demands stillness. To move is to lose heat. To move is to let the cold air under the cloak. So you lie perfectly still, paralyzed by the need for warmth. Your breathing slows. You can see your breath in the moonlight, little puffs of gray steam rising and vanishing into the rafters. Inhale, exhale. The draft whistles again, a lonely sound. Whoo! But you are safe here, relatively. The walls hide you from the road. The shadows hide you from the world. You are just another bundle of rags in a forgotten shed. As you drift deeper toward sleep, the hardness of the floor seems to soften slightly, or perhaps your body just goes numb. The sensory inputs fade. The scratchiness of the wool becomes a dull texture. The smell of dust becomes neutral. You are a warrior, an agent of history, reduced to a person trying to get some rest in a box of wood and dirt. And as you leave the assassin there, shivering slightly in their sleep, curled up in the scratchy hay, turn your attention back to yourself. Wiggle your toes in your warm blankets. Feel the luxury of that movement. You are not wearing heavy, muddy boots. Your feet are free. Shift your shoulders. Feel the softness of your pillow. It is not a canvas sack filled with tools. It is a cloud. Take a deep breath of the clean, warm air in your room.
The assassin's night is hard, cold, and uncomfortable. Your night is soft, warm, and safe. Let that gratitude wash over you. You have conquered the history of discomfort simply by being born in this time. You have the throne that the kings of old could only dream of. A really, really good mattress. Let the image of the cold barn fade. Let the whistling wind die down. You are not there. You are here. And here it is time to sleep, deeply, comfortably, and without fear of the cold. The assassin sleeps the sleep of the exhausted, but you can sleep the sleep of the comfortable. The night in the barn has passed. You survived the draft, the straw, and the scurrying of the mice. The sun has not yet risen, but the sky outside the cracks in the wood is turning a lighter shade of charcoal. The world is waking up, and so is your stomach. Hunger in the Middle Ages is not a polite request from your body. It is a demand. It is a deep, hollowing ache that sits in the center of your torso, reminding you that you are a biological engine that has burned through its fuel. You sit up in the straw, picking the yellow stalks from your hair and your woolen tunic. You are stiff. Your joints pop as you stretch. But before you can move, before you can walk another mile, you must eat. In the movies, the assassin walks into a bustling tavern. They slam a coin on the table. A serving wench brings a steaming haunch of venison, a loaf of fresh, fluffy bread, and a tankard of foaming ale. The fire roars. The bard plays a lute. It is warm and inviting. That is the fantasy. Here, in the cold gray light of the barn, is the reality. You reach into your canvas satchel. You rummage past the whetstone and the spare bowstring until your fingers brush against a cloth-wrapped bundle. You pull it out. This is your breakfast. This is your lunch, and this will likely be your dinner. You unwrap the cloth to reveal the feast. It consists of two things, a piece of dried meat and a puck of hardtack. Let's focus on the hardtack. It is a biscuit, technically, but to call it a biscuit is to insult the fluffy, buttery creations you might know. This is flour and water, mixed into a dense paste and baked, then baked again, and maybe baked a third time. The goal was not flavor. The goal was to remove every single molecule of moisture so that it would not rot. It is not food, it is masonry. You hold the disc in your hand. It is heavy, beige, and feels like a river stone. It has no smell. It is completely inert. If you were to tap it against the wooden wall of the barn, it would make a sharp clack, like two billiard balls hitting each other. You cannot simply bite into hardtack. If you tried, you would break a tooth. And in the 12th century, breaking a tooth is a tragedy you cannot afford. So, eating becomes a process, a slow, methodical ritual of softening. You reach for your water skin. It is a kidney-shaped bag made of goat leather, sealed with pine pitch to make it watertight. You uncork it. You take a sip. The water is tepid. It has been sloshing against your hip for 2 days. It does not taste like a mountain spring. It tastes of leather. It tastes of the resin used to seal the seams. It tastes flat and earthy. But it is wet, and that is what matters. You pour a little water into the cup of your hand, or perhaps into a small wooden bowl if you are feeling civilized. You place the hardtack into the water. And now you wait. You watch the bubbles rise from the biscuit as it grudgingly drinks the water. It takes time. Everything in this life takes time. You stare at the floating bread. You are watching paint dry, but with the added stake of starvation. After a few minutes, the edges begin to soften. You lift the biscuit. It is now slimy on the outside, but still rock hard in the middle. You take a bite. Gnaw, gnaw, gnaw. The texture is dense. It is like chewing on a piece of thick cardboard that has been left in the rain. It requires jaw strength. Your masseter muscles, the muscles at the side of your jaw, flex and relax, flex and relax. There is no flavor explosion. There are no spices. Pepper is for the rich. Cinnamon is for kings. You are an assassin. You get flour. The taste is bland, chalky, and slightly sour from the fermentation of the grain over time. You chew. You swallow. You take another bite.
This is eating as a chore. There is no joy here. It is simply the transfer of matter from the outside world into your internal furnace. Chew, swallow, sip water, repeat. Now let's turn to the meat. It is a strip of beef, or perhaps mutton, that has been cured in salt and dried in the wind until it resembles an old shoe sole. It is dark, almost black. It is covered in a fine layer of white salt crystals. If the hardtack was a test of patience, the jerky is a test of endurance. You tear off a strip. It does not tear easily. You have to clamp it between your front teeth and pull with your hand, stretching the fibers until they finally snap. You put the piece in your mouth. The first sensation is salt. Overwhelming, burning salt. It stings the inside of your cheek. Your body craves the salt after the sweating of the road, but the intensity is shocking. Then you begin to chew. Grind, grind, grind. The meat is fibrous. It fights back. You chew it once, twice, 10 times. It does not seem to get any smaller. It just turns into a salty, distinctively animal-flavored gum. The rhythm of the chewing is hypnotic. Left side, right side, left side, right side. The sound of your own chewing fills your head. In the quiet barn, it is a loud, wet sound. Schlock, schlock. It drowns out the wind. It drowns out the mice. This monotony of diet is something we rarely think about. We are used to variety. Sweet, sour, savory, spicy, hot food, cold food, crunchy, soft. But for the traveling assassin, every meal is the same. Yesterday was hardtack and jerky. Today is hardtack and jerky. Tomorrow will be hardtack and jerky. This sameness creates a kind of sensory deprivation. Your palate falls asleep. You stop expecting pleasure from food. You stop looking forward to meals. You eat only to stop the shaking in your hands, to keep the headache at bay. You take another sip of the leathery water to wash down the salt. The liquid sloshes in your empty stomach. You can feel it moving. As you sit there, chewing your way through the tough meal, you think about the feasts happening in the castle you were traveling toward. You know that inside the great hall, there are roasting pigs turning on spits, dripping fat into the fire. There are bowls of pottage stewed with onions and herbs. There is wine from France. But you are not a guest. You are a ghost. And ghosts don't eat roast pig. Ghosts eat the food that does not spoil. Ghosts eat the food that can be carried in a sack for weeks.
The act of eating this meal takes 20 minutes. 20 minutes of rhythmic jaw movement. It is a workout. By the end, your face actually feels tired. But there is a specific kind of satisfaction that comes when you finish. It is not the satisfaction of a delicious meal. It is the satisfaction of a completed task. You have done the maintenance on your body, just as you did the maintenance on your dagger. You brush the crumbs from your lap. They fall into the straw, a gift for the mice. You cork the water skin. The meal is over. You sit for a moment, letting the heavy, dense food settle. It lands in your stomach like a lead weight. It is not comfortable, but it is substantial. You feel the energy slowly trickling into your blood. The dizziness of the morning fades. The feast of stale bread is over. There is no coffee to wake you up. There is no sugar rush. There is just the slow, steady burn of complex carbohydrates and tough protein. Now, as you listen to this, bring your awareness back to your own mouth. Relax your jaw. Let your tongue rest on the floor of your mouth. You do not have to chew tough meat. You do not have to gnaw on rock-hard bread. Think about your last meal. Maybe it was warm. Maybe it was soft. Maybe it was full of flavor. Think about the water you drink. Clear, tasteless, ice cold, refreshing. Not warm and tasting of goat leather. Feel the gratitude for that softness. The assassin stands up. The stomach is full, or at least it is no longer empty. The satchel is packed. The day awaits. The simple, boring act of eating has grounded you. It has pulled you out of the dream world and back into the physical world. but in the most mundane way possible. The excitement of the kill is far away. Right now, it is just digestion and walking. And as the assassin prepares to leave the barn, stepping back out into the gray, misty morning, you can stay behind. You can stay in the comfort of your bed, where the food is good, the water is clean, and the only thing you have to chew on is your own thoughts. And even those are softening now, dissolving like sugar in tea, melting away as you drift deeper and deeper into relaxation. The stale bread is eaten. The work is done. Let your jaw go slack. Let your hunger fade. Let the quiet of the barn replace the sound of chewing. You have walked the miles. You have eaten the stale bread. You have maintained the blade. And now you are here. You have finally reached the city of your destination. You have navigated the twisting, narrow streets, stepping over puddles of questionable depth, avoiding the night watch, and you have found your spot. Now begins the part of the job that no bard ever sings about. Now begins the part that is never shown in the tapestries or the action movies. Now begins the wait. You are standing in a narrow alcove between two stone buildings. It is a service entrance, perhaps, or just a gap in the architecture. It is deep enough to hide you from the street, but shallow enough that you can see out. Above you, a stone archway drips water onto the cobblestones. Plip, plip. Across the street, 30 feet away, is a door. It is a heavy oak door, reinforced with iron bands. It is the back entrance to a merchant's villa, or perhaps a local magistrate's home. Your target is inside, or maybe he isn't. You don't know. Your job is to wait until that door opens. And so, you stand. You do not crouch on a gargoyle. You do not hang from a ledge by your fingertips. Those are positions for statues and suicides. You stand on your 2 feet, leaning slightly against the damp stone wall behind you to take the weight off your lower back. The first 10 minutes are easy. You are alert, you are scanning the windows, you are listening for footsteps. Your heart is beating with a slow, steady thrum of anticipation. But then, the hour mark passes. The adrenaline fades. The anticipation curdles into something else, a dull, gray flatness. The door does not open. The street is empty. A cat walks by, pauses, looks at your hiding spot with glowing green eyes, judges you, and moves on. Even the cat has somewhere to be. You do not. You shift your weight from your left foot to your right foot. You do this slowly, so the leather of your boots doesn't creak. The movement is microscopic. It is the only event of the last 20 minutes. Boredom in the modern world is a rare thing. If you are bored, you pull out a phone. You scroll, you read, you play a game, you distract yourself instantly. But here, in the shadows of the 13th century, there is no distraction. There is only the street. There is only the stone. There is only the door. You begin to memorize the door. You have no choice. It is the only thing to look at. You notice the grain of the wood. It runs vertically. There is a knot in the wood near the handle that looks vaguely like a face, a sad face. You stare at the knot. You count the iron studs on the door. There are 3 rows. Top row, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Middle row, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Bottom row, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 15 studs. You count them again, just to be sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the meditation of the assassin. It is a forced mindfulness. Your world has shrunk down to a rectangle of wood and iron. Your body begins to complain, not in a loud scream of pain, but in a low, whining murmur. The muscles in your calves tighten. The cold from the stone seeps through your cloak and touches your shoulder blade. An itch develops just under your nose, right where you cannot scratch it without moving your hand, and potentially catching the light. So you don't scratch it. You endure it. You focus on the itch until it becomes a burning sensation, and then, eventually, until it fades into numbness. You conquer the itch with your mind. It is a tiny, silent victory in a night of nothingness. Time loses its meaning. There are no clocks ticking.
There are no digital displays. There is only the position of the moan, which you cannot see from your alcove, and the bells of the cathedral. You hear a bell toll in the distance. Bong, bong. 2 in the morning. You have been standing here for 4 hours. The door has not opened. You begin to play games with the environment. You look at the stone wall across the alley. It is made of irregular blocks of gray granite. You decide to count the blocks. 1 block, gray and rough.
2 blocks. This one has a crack running through it. 3 blocks, smaller, wedged in tight. 4 blocks, covered in a patch of dry moss. You count the blocks all the way up to the roof line. There are 142 blocks. You count them again, this time from top to bottom. This repetition is sedating. It is rhythmic. It is the medieval equivalent of counting sheep. Your brain, starved of stimulation, latches on to the numbers. 35, 36, 37. Your breathing creates a small cloud of fog in front of your face. You watch the fog appear, swirl, and vanish. Appear, swirl, vanish. It is the same rhythm as the waves on a shore, but silent and ghostly. Inhale. Exhale. The silence of the medieval city is heavy. It is not the silence of the country. It is a pressurized silence. You know there are thousands of people sleeping all around you, behind those shutters, behind those walls. You can feel the collective weight of their sleep. Occasionally, the silence is broken. Somewhere, 3 streets away, a dog barks. Woof, woof. Then silence returns. A window shutter bangs in the wind. Clack. Then silence returns. You are a statue. You are a gargoyle that has forgotten to be scary. You are just a part of the architecture now. If someone were to walk past, they might not even see you. You have stood so still for so long that you have become part of the shadow. Your mind begins to drift into a strange, dreamlike state. You are awake, but you are not fully present. You are floating in the now. You think about your life. You think about the barn you slept in. You think about the bread you ate. You think about how nice it would be to sit down, just to sit. The desire to sit becomes a physical craving, more intense than hunger. But you cannot sit. If you sit, you lose your vantage point. If you sit, you might fall asleep. So you lock your knees, you lean back, you wait. The boredom is profound. It is a thick, blanket-like boredom. It wraps around your brain and slows your thoughts down. You are no longer thinking in sentences. You are thinking in feelings. Cold, hard, dark, quiet. This is the reality of the profession. The assassination itself, the moment of action, will take perhaps 10 seconds. The preparation took days. The travel took days. The waiting takes hours. The ratio of boredom to excitement is about 1,000,000 to 1. And yet, there is peace here. There is no one demanding anything of you. You don't have to talk. You don't have to pretend to be polite. You don't have to work in the fields or shoe a horse. You just have to exist. You are a professional witness to the night. You watch a spider spin a web in the corner of the doorframe across the street. You watch it drop a line of silk glistening faintly in the moonlight. It climbs back up. It drops another line. You feel a kinship with the spider. It is waiting for a fly. You are waiting for a man. Both of you are patient. Both of you are still. Both of you are likely to go home hungry tonight. The bell tolls again. Bong, bong, bong. 3 in the morning. The darkest part of the night. The witching hour. The air seems to get colder. The mist thickens in the street, swirling around your ankles like dry ice. Your eyelids feel heavy. They want to close. It takes physical effort to keep them open. You blink slowly. Blink. Blink. The door across the street remains stubbornly shut. It is a monument to closure. It mocks you with its stability. You realize that nothing is going to happen tonight. The target is asleep. The guards are asleep. The world is asleep. Only you and the spider are awake. But you cannot leave. You have to wait until dawn. So you sink deeper into the boredom. You embrace it. You let go of the frustration. You let go of the impatience. You accept that this standing, this breathing, this staring is your life right now. And in that acceptance, there is relaxation. The tension leaves your shoulders. You stop fighting the weight. You become the weight. You are simply a consciousness floating in a dark alley. The sound of your own heart seems loud in your ears. Thump, 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 thump. It is a slow, resting rhythm. Even your heart is bored. Focus on that rhythm. Thump, thump, thump. It is the same rhythm that is in your chest right now as you listen to this story. Slow, steady, calm. The assassin's vigil is a form of deep rest, even while standing. The mind clears. The worries of the day dissolve because there is nothing you can do about them. You can only watch the door. And the door is just a piece of wood. It is simple. It is uncomplicated. As the first hint of gray touches the sky, signaling the approach of dawn, you realize the night is over. The stakeout was a failure in terms of the mission. The door never opened. But it was a success in terms of patience. You have stood watch over the silence. You have counted the bricks. You have counted the stars that broke through the clouds. You have breathed in the damp night air thousands of times. You finally push yourself off the wall. Your legs are stiff. They protest as you bend your knees. You pull your cloak tighter around you. You turn away from the door. You slip back into the deeper shadows, moving silently away from the scene. You are leaving the boredom behind, or perhaps you are carrying it with you, a heavy, quiet blanket that dampens the world. The city is still sleeping, and you, the tired watcher, the silent guardian of the alleyway, are ready to find a place to close your eyes for real. The excitement never came. The adrenaline never spiked. There was only the long, slow, hypnotic passage of time. And that is okay, because in the boredom there is quiet, and in the quiet there is sleep. Let the image of the unmoving door fade from your mind. Let the counting of the bricks stop. You do not have to wait anymore. You do not have to stand. You can lie down. You can let go. The stakeout is over. You have left the alleyway where you stood for hours. You are moving again, but you are moving slowly, sticking to the deepest shadows of the city. The sun is threatening to rise, a faint bruising of purple on the eastern horizon, but down here in the labyrinth of the streets, it is still night. And as you move, you are confronted with the most overpowering. In our modern world, we have declared war on odor. We have air purifiers, scented candles, deodorants, and sanitation systems that whisk waste away through underground pipes, sealed and silent. Our world smells of lemon, lavender, and ocean breeze. The medieval world smelled of life. Dense, decomposing, overwhelming life. As you creep along the wall of a narrow lane, the air feels thick. It is not just gas. It feels like a suspension of particles. You are breathing in the city.
The base note of this perfume is wood smoke. It is everywhere. It has soaked into the timber of the houses, the stones of the street, and the fabric of your cloak. It is a heavy, acrid scent that coats the back of the throat. It is the smell of heating, of cooking, of industry. It hangs low in the damp morning air, forming a gray smog that refuses to lift. But layered over the smoke is the organic reality of the city. You step carefully. The street is not paved. It is a mixture of mud, clay, and other things. In the Middle Ages, the street was the sewer. There is a gutter running down the center of the lane, an open trench filled with a dark, sluggish liquid. It smells of fermentation. It smells of the night soil thrown from windows. It smells of rotting vegetable peelings, fish guts from yesterday's market, and the waste of the thousands of horses, pigs, and dogs that live within the walls. It is a pungent, earthy musk. It is the smell of biology breaking down. To us, this would be nauseating, but to you, the assassin, it is simply the atmosphere. You are nose-blind to much of it, but in the stillness of the pre-dawn, the scent is particularly concentrated. The damp air traps the molecules close to the ground. You turn a corner and approach the river that cuts through the city. Or perhaps it is a moat surrounding the inner citadel. The water is not blue. It is brown and opaque. It is stagnant. You crouch by the water's edge, needing to wash the mud from your hands. You hesitate. The water smells of algae and decay. It smells of wet rot. Bubbles of methane rise slowly to the surface, bloop and pop, releasing a tiny pocket of swamp gas. Bloop, bloop. This is the romantic moat. In stories, it is a shimmering defense. In reality, it is a standing pool of everything the city wants to forget. You dip your hands in. The water is cold and slimy. You scrub the mud off, but you know you are just trading one kind of dirt for another. Your hands will smell of the river for the rest of the day. A metallic, fishy, muddy scent that sinks into the pores of your skin. And speaking of skin, let's talk about you, the assassin. You have not bathed in 3 weeks. Bathing in the Middle Ages was a luxury, a chore, and sometimes considered a health risk. You do not have a shower. You do not have hot running water. You have a bucket and a rag, and you haven't had time for even that. You smell of wet wool, that distinct barnyard sheep smell we talked about earlier. You smell of old sweat, layer upon layer of it, absorbed into your linen undertunic. You smell of the leather of your armor, which has been cured in urine, a common tanning agent, and oiled with animal fat. You are a walking cocktail of organic aromas. If you were to walk into a modern office building right now, people would evacuate the floor. But here, you blend in. Everyone smells like this. The baker smells like yeast and sweat. The blacksmith smells of sulfur and singed hair. The knight smells of rust and horse. This universal lack of hygiene creates a kind of sensory fog. There is no fresh air. There is only the air of the city, heavy and cloying. You move away from the river, heading toward the tanner's district. This is a mistake, but it is the shortest route to your safe house. The tanneries are the olfactory low point of the medieval world. As you approach, the air becomes almost chewable. This is where leather is made. The hides are soaked in vats of lime and dog dung to remove the hair and soften the skin. The smell is sharp, acidic, and fecal. It burns the nostrils. It makes your eyes water. It is a smell so strong it seems to have a physical weight, pressing down on your shoulders, pushing you into the mud. You pour your hood tight across your nose and mouth. The rough wool filters out the worst of it, replacing the tannery stench with the smell of your own breath and the wet fabric. It is a small mercy. You hurry through the district. Your boots make sticky, sucking sounds in the muck. Slump, slump. The ground here is slick with the runoff from the vats. You are wading through the byproduct of industry. There is no EPA here. There are no regulations. There is just the raw, unrefined process of making things. As you leave the district behind, the smell fades back to the background level of smoke and rot. You find a spot to rest for a moment, tucked behind a barrel of salted fish. The smell of the fish is strong, briny and sharp, but after the tannery, it smells like perfume. You lean your head back against the barrel. You are tired. The sensory assault of the city is exhausting. Your brain is constantly processing these signals: danger, rot, food, waste, even if you aren't conscious of it. Now, pause. Take a deep breath through your nose. What do you smell? Maybe you smell the clean scent of laundry detergent on your pillowcase. Maybe you smell a hint of lavender or vanilla from a candle you burned earlier. Maybe you smell simply nothing. The absence of smell is the greatest luxury of the modern age.
The air in your room is light. It is thin. It does not stick to you. It does not coat your throat. It is invisible and odorless. Imagine the contrast. Imagine the heavy, brown, smoky air of the 13th century city swirling outside your window, unable to get in. You are sealed away in a bubble of freshness. The assassin does not have this bubble. The assassin is immersed in the muck. But there is a strange benefit to the smell. It is a disguise. If you smelled like soap and mint, you would stand out. You would be a beacon. But smelling like mud, smoke, and sweat, you are invisible. You smell like a peasant. You smell like a bricklayer. You smell like the city itself. The grime is your camouflage. The dirt under your fingernails, the grease in your hair, the stain of the road on your cloak. These are the things that keep you alive. They make you part of the background. So the assassin accepts the smell. You stop fighting it. You let the heavy aroma of the city wrap around you like a second cloak. You close your eyes behind the fish barrel. The pungent, salty air is grounding. It is real. It is the smell of survival. In a way, the lack of hygiene is relaxing. There is no pressure to be clean. There is no social anxiety about whether you put on deodorant. No one cares. Everyone is in the same muddy boat. You can just be your dirty, smelly, exhausted self. The rats scurrying nearby don't mind. The stray dogs don't mind. The stones of the alley don't mind. You take a slow breath of the smoky air. It tastes of oak and charcoal. It reminds you of hearth fires, of warmth you don't have right now, but remember from childhood. It is a nostalgic smell, ancient and human. And as you sit there, coated in the grime of the ages, you can feel a deep sense of separation from the listener. The listener, you, are lying in a bed that is likely the cleanest object in human history compared to this alleyway. Your sheets are white or blue or gray, but they are clean. They have been washed in hot water. They have been dried in hot air. You are clean. You took a shower today or yesterday. Your skin is free of the layer of soot and grease. You are light. Let that feeling of cleanliness seep into your bones. It is a physical sensation of lightness. You are not weighed down by the grime. You are floating on a raft of hygiene.
The assassin sighs, shifting position against the fish barrel. The smell is bad, yes, but it is also the smell of humanity. It is the smell of life struggling, persisting, and enduring. But you don't have to endure it. You can leave the tanneries behind. You can leave the open sewers behind. You can leave the stagnant moat behind. You can retreat into the sanctuary of your clean, fresh room. The assassin stays in the alley, hidden by the cloud of scent, a small, dirty shadow in a big, dirty city. They are safe there, in their own way. But you are safer. You are cleaner. You are freer. Let the heavy, musky scent of the medieval world fade from your imagination. Let the smoke clear. Let the air become thin and sweet again. Breathe in the freshness of your own time. It is the smell of peace. It is the smell of sleep. The assassin waits in the dark, enveloped by the ages. You drift in the light, enveloped by comfort. The contrast is complete. The gratitude is real. And the sleep is coming, clean and deep. You have left the sensory overload of the tanneries and the fish markets. You have climbed away from the smells and the mud. You have found a high vantage point. Perhaps the bell tower of an abandoned chapel, or the flat roof of a granary on the edge of town. Here the air is clearer. The wind blows more freely. But as the noise of the city fades below you, you are left with something else. Something heavier than the chainmail, sharper than the dagger, and colder than the rain. You are left with yourself. The life of a medieval assassin is defined by many things. Waiting, walking, maintenance. But above all, it is defined by silence. Not the peaceful silence of a library, but the silence of a person who has forgotten the sound of their own voice.
Ask yourself, when was the last time you spoke? Not a grunt of exertion, not a whispered curse when you stubbed your toe, but a real conversation. When was the last time you told someone a joke? When was the last time you asked someone how their day was and actually listened to the answer? It has been weeks, maybe months. You sit on the edge of the roof, your legs dangling over the precipice. You look down at the city. It is waking up. You see tiny figures moving in the streets. You see two merchants arguing over a cart of turnips. You see a mother holding the hand of a child. You see a group of guards laughing, passing a wineskin back and forth. They are connected. They are part of a web. They are woven into the fabric of humanity. You are a loose thread. You have been pulled out of the weave. To do this job, you cannot have friends. Friends are liabilities. Friends ask questions. Where were you last night? Why do you have that bruise? What is in that heavy sack? You cannot answer these questions, so you avoid the people who ask them. You have become a master of the deflection. If an innkeeper asks where you are from, you name a town 3 days' ride away. If a traveler on the road asks your name, you give a fake one. You have a dozen names: John, William, Thomas, Robert. They are all masks. None of them are you. This constant deception creates a wall, a glass wall between you and the rest of the world. You can see them, but you cannot touch them. You are a ghost haunting the living, walking among them, but never of them. The loneliness is physical. It sits in your chest. It feels like a hollow space, a cavern where your heart used to be. You lean back against the stone parapet. It is cold and hard against your spine. You crave touch. Not necessarily romantic touch, but just human contact. A hand on a shoulder, a pat on the back, a handshake. But you cannot touch. To touch is to leave a trace. To touch is to risk recognition. So your companions are objects. You look at your boots. You know every scuff mark on the leather. You know the way the left sole is wearing down faster than the right. They are your friends. They have carried you this far. You look at your dagger. You know the balance of it perfectly. You know the cold bite of the steel. It is your confidant. It keeps your secrets. You begin to talk to them in your head. You have full conversations with your gear. You plead with the clouds not to rain. You bargain with the wind. You thank the stone for being solid. The human mind is not designed for this much isolation. We are social animals. We are pack hunters. When you remove the pack, the mind begins to turn inward. Your internal monologue becomes deafening. In the silence of the tower, your thoughts are loud, they echo. You replay memories from 10 years ago. You analyze a conversation you had when you were 12. You worry about a loose strap on your armor. You wonder if you locked the door of a house you haven't lived in for years. The brain, bored and lonely, starts to eat itself. It creates loops. Did I leave a footprint? Did anyone see me? Is the target real? Am I real? This is the psychological weight of the hood. It isolates you. It turns you into an observer. You watch the sun climb higher in the sky. The light hits the city, turning the gray stone to gold. It is beautiful. And the tragedy is that you have no one to share it with. Look at that, you want to say. Look how the light hits the river. But if you spoke, the words would just fall into the empty air. There is no one to hear them. So you swallow the words. You keep the beauty for yourself. And in doing so, the beauty becomes a little bit sadder. And yet, as you sit there in your solitude, there is a flip side to this coin. There is a profound peace in being unknown. Think about the people down in the street. The merchant is worried about his reputation. The guard is worried about his captain. The mother is worried about her child. They are bound by expectations. They have to perform. They have to be who society expects them to be. You do not. You are a cipher.
You are a blank slate. You are completely free of social obligation. You do not have to attend weddings you don't want to go to. You do not have to make small talk about the weather. You do not have to smile when you don't feel like smiling. You can just sit here. You can frown. You can cry. You can stare at a cloud for an hour. No one is watching. No one is judging. The loneliness, when you stop fighting it, transforms into solitude. Solitude is different. Loneliness is the pain of being alone. Solitude is the glory of being alone. You close your eyes. You listen to the sound of the wind whipping around the tower. Whoosh, whoosh. It is a clean sound. It scrubs the world. You listen to the distant hum of the city. It is like the buzzing of a hive. It is busy, chaotic, stressful, and you are above it. You are separate from it. You are safe from it. You realize that your silence is a shield. It protects you. Inside your head, you are a king. You have an entire inner world that no one can touch, no one can invade. The assassin learns to love the quiet. You learn to be your own best company. You learn that you are enough. Now bring this feeling into your own room. You are alone right now, or perhaps you are lying next to someone who is asleep. But in your mind, you are in a private space. Sometimes we fear being alone. We fill the silence with TV, with music, with scrolling. We are afraid of what we might hear if the noise stops. But look at the assassin. They have survived the silence. They have made friends with it. You can do the same. Feel the space around you. It is your space. No one is demanding anything of you right now. No one is asking you for a report. No one is asking what's for dinner. No one is asking for a favor. The world has retreated. The emails have stopped. The texts have stopped. You are in your own personal tower. But unlike the assassin, your solitude is not a prison. It is a sanctuary. You can leave it whenever you want. Tomorrow you can talk. Tomorrow you can hug. Tomorrow you can laugh with friends. But for tonight, you have the gift of silence. You don't have to carry the burden of a fake identity. You don't have to lie. You can just take off the mask. Let your face relax. You don't need an expression. You don't need to look happy or interested or serious. You can just have a sleeping face.
The assassin on the roof takes a deep breath. The air is thin and cold. It fills the lungs with clarity. The need to speak has faded. The throat relaxes. The jaw unclenches. The internal monologue slows down. The questions stop looping. Am I safe? Yes. Is it quiet? Yes. Can I rest? Yes. The assassin pulls their knees to their chest, wrapping the cloak tight. It is a hug of sorts, a self-embrace. High above the medieval world, the assassin finds a moment of stillness. The loneliness is still there, yes. It is a dull ache, but it is quiet. It is not sharp. It is just a fact of life, like the gray sky or the stone floor. And in that quiet, there is room for sleep. The city below is noisy with life, but you are up here. You are in the clouds. You are in the realm of the birds and the wind. Drift into that silence. Let it wrap around you like the assassin's cloak. It is not heavy anymore. It is light. It is soft. It shuts out the world. You are alone, and it is wonderful. You are safe in the citadel of your own mind. The drawbridge is up. The gates are closed. Nothing can trouble you here. Silence. Stillness. Peace. The assassin watches a single hawk circle in the distance. It makes no sound. It just glides. Be the hawk. Glide on the silence. Let the wind carry you. You are far above the mud. You are far above the noise. You are drifting in the infinite, quiet blue of sleep. You are still high above the city,
Or perhaps you have descended into the labyrinth of streets again. It does not matter where you are, because the enemy has changed. It is no longer the guards. It is no longer the boredom. It is no longer the smell. The enemy now is the air itself. The sun has dipped below the horizon, taking with it the meager warmth of the day, and in its place, the medieval winter descends like a heavy iron curtain. We must remember that the climate of the Middle Ages was often harsher than what we know today. Historians speak of the Little Ice Age, a period where winters were longer, deeper, and more biting. And you are standing right in the middle of it. You are wearing wool, you are wearing linen, you are wearing leather. But after hours of exposure, these materials begin to fail. The cold does not attack you all at once. It is a siege engine. It begins slowly, probing your defenses. It finds the gap between your glove and your sleeve. It finds the space between your hood and your collar. It slips in like a thief, sliding across your skin, raising goosebumps that feel like gravel under your clothes. This is not the crisp, dry cold of a ski resort. This is the damp, heavy cold of Europe. It is a wet cold. It carries moisture from the ocean, from the rivers, from the mud. It clings to you. It saturates the air so that every breath you take draws the freezing fog deep into your lungs, chilling you from the inside out. You take a breath. Inhale. The air tastes metallic. It stings the nostrils. It makes the fine hairs in your nose freeze instantly. Exhale. A cloud of dense white steam escapes your lips, a ghost leaving your body. You watch the steam dissipate. It is the only evidence of the heat your body is desperately trying to hold on to. Then the shivering begins. It starts at the base of your spine, a small tremor, a vibration. It ripples up your back, across your shoulders, and down your arms. You try to suppress it. An assassin must be still, but you cannot fight biology. Your body is revolting. It is screaming for heat. The tremor becomes a shudder. Your teeth want to chatter. You have to clamp your jaw shut, grinding your molars together to keep them silent. Click, click, click is a sound that travels in the dark. Your muscles tighten. Every fiber in your body contracts, trying to generate friction, trying to create a spark of warmth. You are locked in an isometric battle with the temperature. Your shoulders are hunched up to your ears. Your arms are wrapped tight around your ribs. You are a nut of tension. Let's focus on the extremities, the hands. Your gloves are thin leather, designed for dexterity, not for Arctic exploration. The cold has seeped through them hours ago. Your fingers feel stiff. They feel swollen, yet clumsy. You try to make a fist. The movement is slow. The joints creak. The skin feels tight, as if it is 2 sizes too small for the bones underneath. You lose the sensation of touch. If you were to touch the stone wall now, you wouldn't feel the texture. You would only feel a vague pressure. Your hands have become tools of wood, numb and unresponsive. And the feet. The boots are leather. The mud on them has frozen. You are walking in 2 blocks of ice. The cold creeps up from the soles of your feet, turning your toes into pebbles. You wiggle them constantly, just to remind yourself they're still there. Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. It is a dull, aching pain. It is the chill in the bones. It feels as though the marrow inside your femur has turned to slush. It is a deep, gnawing sensation that you cannot rub away. No matter how much you wrap your cloak around you, the cold is already inside. You are a heat source in a world that wants to steal every calorie you possess. You find a wall that backs onto a bakery. The bakery is closed, the fire's banked for the night, but the bricks are still faintly, barely warm. You press your back against the bricks. You press your spine into the rough clay. You close your eyes and hunt for that heat. It is a ghost of warmth, a whisper of a fire that burned hours ago. But you cling to it. You imagine the heat transferring into your kidneys, spreading through your blood. It isn't enough, but it is something. In this state of freezing, the mind simplifies even further. You do not think about the king. You do not think about gold. You do not think about God. You think only of fire. You hallucinate warmth. You picture a hearth. You can see the logs glowing red and orange. You can hear the snap and hiss of the sap. You can feel the wave of radiant heat hitting your face, melting the frost on your eyelashes. The longing is so intense it hurts. It is a physical craving, stronger than hunger. You would trade your sword, your honor, your entire mission just to stand in front of a fireplace for 5 minutes. But there is no fire. There is only the gray mist and the black night. Now, as the assassin, shivering against the bakery wall, huddled in a ball of misery, let us step away. Let us break the fourth wall of history and look at you. Feel the temperature of the air around your face. It is likely cool, but pleasant. It is not biting. It does not sting. Now feel what is covering you. You are under a duvet or a comforter or a stack of blankets. These are marvels of modern engineering. They trap your body heat instantly. They create a microclimate that is perfectly suited to you. Feel the warmth radiating from your own body. It doesn't escape into the night. It is reflected back to you. You are a self-sustaining furnace of comfort. Wiggle your toes. Are they numb? Are they frozen blocks of ice? No. They are warm. They are pink. They can feel the softness of the sheets. You can move them freely. Think about the heating system in your home. Somewhere, silently, a machine is working for you. It is burning gas or using electricity to keep the air at a precise, comfortable number. You don't have to chop wood. You don't have to huddle against a bakery wall. You just exist, and the warmth is provided. The luxury of this cannot be overstated. Kings and emperors of the past would have given half their empire for a thermostat. They would have given their crown for an electric blanket.
You have these things. You are wealthier in warmth than Charlemagne. Go back to the assassin for a moment. The shivering has settled into a low-level vibration. They are tired. The cold makes you sleepy. It slows the blood. It makes the eyelids heavy. It is a dangerous sleep for them, but a safe sleep for you. The assassin wraps the cloak tighter, tucking the nose inside the wool to recycle the heat of their breath. They accept the cold. They stop fighting it. They become a stone, waiting for the sun. But you don't have to wait. The sun is in your bed. The warmth is already here. Imagine that cold, damp, medieval fog pressing against the window of your bedroom. It wants to get in. It wants to steal your heat. But it can't. The glass stops it. The insulation stops it. The walls stop it. You are in a fortress of warmth. Let that feeling of gratitude wash over you. It is a warm wave, starting at your head and moving down to your toes. It relaxes the muscles that the assassin has to keep tight. Unhunch your shoulders. You don't need to hold body heat in. You have plenty to spare. Unclench your jaw. Your teeth are not chattering. Relax your hands. Open them. Let them lie flat and soft. They are not frozen claws. They are warm, capable hands resting in peace. The contrast is the key. The colder the assassin gets, the warmer you feel. The wind howls through the medieval streets, whistling through the eaves, rattling the shutters. Whew. It sounds lonely. It sounds bitter. But to you, it is just a sound effect. It is a lullaby. It reminds you that you are inside and the weather is outside. The assassin breathes out another cloud of steam, watching it rise up toward the uncaring stars. The cold is a heavy blanket of ice. Your blanket is light. Your blanket is kind. Sink deeper into that warmth. Imagine the heat penetrating your bones, not the cold. Feel your marrow warming up. Feel the blood flowing easily to your fingertips and toes, bringing relaxation and heaviness. There is no draft here. There is no damp. There is only the dry, sweet warmth of home. The chill in the bones is a story from the past, a memory of a harder time. You have evolved beyond it. You have conquered the winter. So, as the assassin huddles in the dark, shivering and waiting, you can let go. You can melt. You can drift. The warmth is your anchor. It holds you safe. It invites you to sleep. Let the cold fade away, leaving only the cozy, golden sensation of being perfectly, blissfully warm. You have found a place to rest. Perhaps it is a rented room above a tavern, or a hayloft in a stable, or a small, abandoned cottage on the edge of the woods. You are out of the rain. You are out of the biting wind. The physical elements have been conquered for the moment. But as the shivering stops and the body begins to thaw, a new challenge arises. It is the challenge that follows you everywhere, closer than your shadow, heavier than your cloak. It is the inability to switch off. For a medieval assassin, the concept of relaxing is a myth. Relaxation requires trust. It requires you to believe that you are safe, that the door is locked, and that no one is coming for you. But in your world, someone is always coming for you. You sit on the edge of the bed, a straw mattress that rustles with every breath. You've checked the room 3 times. You check the window. The shutters are closed, but the latch is rusty. It could be forced from the outside with a knife. You wedged a chair against it just in case. You check the door. It has a heavy bolt, but wood rots. Wood splinters. You sprinkled a little bit of crushed dry leaves on the floor right in front of the threshold. If anyone opens that door, they will crush the leaves. Crunch. That sound will wake you. You checked the floorboards. You walked the perimeter of the room, testing for the loose ones, memorizing where the squeaky ones are. You need to know the acoustic map of your cage. This is the mental landscape of the assassin. It is a landscape of constant low-level calculation. You are not afraid in the way a child is afraid of a monster. You don't have a racing heart. You don't have sweaty palms. It is far more subtle than that. It is a chronic, grinding hypervigilance. It is the feeling of having eyes in the back of your head that refuse to blink. You blow out the candle. The room plunges into darkness. But it is not a peaceful darkness. It is a darkness filled with information. Your eyes adjust. The moonlight filters through the cracks in the shutters, painting long, thin stripes of silver across the floor. You watch the stripes. You wait for a shadow to break them. You listen. The house is settling. In the Middle Ages, buildings were alive. The timber expands in the heat of the day and contracts in the cool of the night. Creak. Your eyes snap to the corner. Was that a footstep? Or was it just a joist cooling down? You exhale. Scritch, scratch. A sound in the wall. A mouse? Or a blade being drawn slowly from a sheath? You hold your breath. You listen to the rhythm. It is erratic, fast. It stops, then starts again. Scritch, scratch. It is a mouse. You exhale again. This is the exhausting loop of paranoia. Every sensory input must be cataloged, analyzed, and categorized as threat or non-threat. You cannot simply let the sounds wash over you. You have to interrogate them. Your brain is a guard dog that refuses to sleep. It paces back and forth behind your eyes, growling at the shadows. Think of the mental energy this consumes.
Imagine carrying a glass of water filled to the brim, walking across a tightrope while people throw stones at you. You have to focus on the balance, the water, and the stones all at once. That is your mind every single night. You lie down on the mattress. You do not take off your boots. You do not take off your dagger. The hilt of the weapon digs into your ribs, a hard, uncomfortable lump. But you welcome the discomfort. It reminds you that protection is within reach. You lie on your back. You cannot lie on your stomach. You need to see the room. You cannot lie on your side. You need to keep both ears open to the air. You stare up at the ceiling beams, invisible in the gloom. You start thinking about the people you met today. The innkeeper who looked at you a little too long. Did he recognize you? Did he see the crest on the ring you forgot to take off? You think about the merchant on the road. Why did he ask which way you were going? Was it idle chatter, or was he a scout? The paranoia rewrites your history. It takes innocent interactions and twists them into potential betrayals. Every smile hides a lie. Every handshake hides a dagger. It is a lonely way to think. It separates you from humanity more effectively than any wall. You are trapped inside your own head, running simulations of your own death over and over again. What if they come through the window? I roll left, grab the sword. What if they come through the door? I kick the table over, dive for the window. What if they drop from the thatch roof? You rehearse these scenarios. You choreograph fights that haven't happened. Your muscles twitch as you imagine parrying a blow. You are fighting ghosts. And the fatigue, oh, the fatigue. It is not just physical tiredness. It is a deep gray fog that coats your brain. You are exhausted by your own imagination. You want to stop thinking. You want to turn the guard dog off. You want to just be a person, lying in a room, safe. But safety is not for you. Safety is for other people. Now pause. Take a deep breath. Let's leave that room. Let's leave the assassin staring at the stripes of moonlight, waiting for a shadow to move. Come back to where you are. Look at your own environment with your mind's eye. Your door is locked. It is likely a sturdy modern door with a deadbolt. No one is going to kick it in. No one is picking the lock with a rusty wire. You are safe. You do not have to sprinkle leaves on the floor. You do not have to wedge a chair under the handle. You are safe.
Feel the weight of that word, safe. It means you can turn the guard dog off. You can tell the sentry in your mind to put down his spear and go to sleep. There is nothing to watch. There is nothing to analyze. Listen to the sounds of your house. That is the refrigerator. It is not a threat. Whirr, that is the heating system. It is not a threat. Creak, that is the house settling. It is not a footstep. It is just the house getting comfortable for the night, just like you. You have the luxury of indifference. You can hear a sound and simply ignore it. You can let the sounds blend into a white noise that lulls you to sleep. The assassin does not have this luxury. For them, indifference is death. For you, indifference is peace. Imagine the assassin's mind as a tight knot, pulled hard, tension, stress, vigilance. Now imagine your mind as that knot untying. The rope goes slack. The tension dissolves. You don't have to watch the door. You can turn your back to it. You can bury your face in your pillow. You can cover your ears with the blanket. You can make yourself vulnerable, because vulnerability is allowed here. The paranoia of the Middle Ages was a survival mechanism, but you are not surviving right now. You are thriving. You are resting. The assassin's eyes are gritty with exhaustion. They burn. They want to close, but they snap open at every rustle of the straw. Your eyes are heavy. They are soft. When you close them, you see a warm, velvety darkness. No simulations, no fight choreography, just black. Relax your forehead. The assassin's brow is furrowed, scanning for danger. Yours should be smooth as a stone in a river. Relax your neck. The assassin is craning to hear. You can sink into the support of the pillow. The shadows in your room are just shadows. They are not hiding anything. They are simply the absence of light. They are soft and fuzzy. In the medieval room, the assassin finally drifts into a light, shallow doze. It is not real sleep. It is a cat nap, ready to spring awake at a moment's notice. They are skimming the surface of rest. But you can dive deep. You can go down to the bottom of the ocean of sleep. You can detach from the world completely. You don't need to listen. You don't need to watch. You don't need to worry. The world will take care of itself while you sleep. The locks will hold. The walls will stand. The intense, exhausting vigilance of the assassin highlights just how precious your peace of mind is. You don't have to look over your shoulder. You don't have to check the perimeter. You have done enough today. You are safe enough tonight. Let the shadows of the mind fade away. Let the what-ifs dissolve into the silence. The assassin is still watching, still waiting, trapped in the cage of their own awareness. But you are free. You are released from duty. Let the heavy mental load drop. Feel it falling away from you, like a heavy pack slipping off your shoulders and hitting the floor. You are light. You are unburdened. You are safe. And because you are safe, you can sleep. Deeply, truly, without fear. You are back in the room, or perhaps you are still in the alleyway, or perched on the edge of the roof. The waiting, which felt infinite, has suddenly come to an end. The target has arrived. In the tapestry of legends, this is the crescendo. This is where the violins swell. This is where the drums begin to pound. The hero leaps from the shadows, steel flashing in the moonlight. The villain draws his sword with a sneer. They exchange witty banter. They parry. They dodge. Sparks fly as metal meets metal. It is a dance of death, beautiful and choreographed. But you are not in a legend. You are in a drafty room in the year 1240. And the reality of violence in the Middle Ages is that it is not a dance. It is a stumble. The door opens. Your target enters. He is not wearing menacing black armor. He is not giving a monologue about his evil plans. He is a middle-aged man wearing a nightshirt, looking tired, holding a candlestick that is dripping hot wax onto his thumb. He looks like he has indigestion. He looks ordinary. This is the first disappointment. The monster you have been sent to kill is just a person with bad posture and a receding hairline. You step out from the shadows. There is no music. There is no sound effect. There is just the creak of your boot on the floorboard. Creak. The man turns. He doesn't look like a warrior. He looks confused. He squints, trying to see past the candle flame. "Who is there?" he asks. His voice is not a boom of thunder. It is a wobble. It cracks slightly. This is the moment where the movies promise you a duel. But a duel implies fairness. A duel implies risk. And you are a professional. If you find yourself in a fair fight, you have failed. The job is not to fight. The job is to finish it. You close the distance. It is not a graceful glide. You rush. You trip slightly on the edge of a rug that has curled up. You regain your balance. It is clumsy. It is frantic. The actual act is incredibly fast. It is messy. It is a flurry of limbs and fabric. There is the sound of a struggle, not the ringing of steel, but the thud of bodies hitting furniture. A chair is knocked over, clatter. A goblet falls to the floor, rolling away in a circle. Rumble, rumble, rumble. And then it is over. It took 6 seconds. There was no final speech. There was no realization of sin.
There was just a sudden, violent cessation of movement. The silence that rushes back into the room is heavy. It is heavier than the silence of the weight. It is a vacuum. The candle has fallen and extinguished itself, plunging the room back into gray gloom. You stand there, breathing hard. Your heart is not soaring with triumph. It is hammering against your ribs, terrified and erratic. Thump, 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 thump. This is the glory of the assassin. You look down. The scene is not picturesque. It is just a mess. It smells of spilled wine and fear. You feel a sensation rising in your chest, but it isn't pride. It is a hollow, sinking feeling. It is the profound realization of the anticlimax. You spent weeks traveling. You walked through the mud. You ate the stale bread. You froze in the rain. You waited for hours in the dark. All for this? All for 6 seconds of awkward struggle in a dark room? It feels insufficient. The human brain wants a story. It wants a beginning, a middle, and a satisfying end. But reality rarely gives us satisfying ends. Reality just stops. You feel a strange numbness in your hands. The adrenaline dump is beginning. Your fingers start to shake, not a little tremble, but a violent shiver. You try to sheath your dagger, but you miss the scabbard twice. Clink, clink. You have to use both hands to guide the blade home. You feel lightheaded. The body rebels against it. Even for a professional, it is high. You feel a wave of nausea. You don't feel like a cool, collected shadow. You feel like you need to sit down and drink a glass of water. This is the part they leave out. They leave out the hollowness. You look around the room. Nothing has changed. The moon is still shining through the shutters. The dust motes are still dancing in the air. The world did not stop. Because one man died, the universe is indifferent. This indifference is crushing. You expected the world to acknowledge what you did, but the world just keeps turning. The crickets are still chirping outside. The wind is still blowing. You feel small. You feel dirty. You realize that the cool assassin is a lie. You are just a person in dirty clothes who has made the world a slightly quieter place. There is no fanfare. There is no reward ceremony waiting for you. You just have to leave. You have to turn around and walk away, leaving the mess behind. Now, as you stand there in the dark, feeling the weight of that anticlimax, let's pivot. Let's step out of that room and back into your reality. Feel the profound difference between the assassin's night and yours. The assassin has just finished a task that leaves a stain on the soul. It was stressful, messy, and unrewarding. You, on the other hand, have finished your day. Think about what you accomplished. Maybe you worked. Maybe you helped someone. Maybe you just got through it. Whatever you did, it did not involve the dark, heavy reality of the blade. You are innocent. There is a deep peace in innocence. You don't have to wash your hands of anything. You don't have the shakes. Your heart is beating slowly, steadily. Thump, thump, thump.
The assassin feels empty because their task took something away. You can feel full because your rest is giving something back. Focus on the stillness of your room. It is a clean stillness. It is not the silence of a crime scene. It is the silence of sanctuary. The assassin is standing in the dark, wondering, is that it? You are lying in the dark, knowing this is it. This comfort, this warmth, this safety, this is the good part of life. The anticlimax of the assassin's job serves to highlight the simple, quiet climax of your day, the moment you get to close your eyes. There is no adrenaline here. There is no fight or flight response kicking in. Your body knows it is time to power down. The assassin's hands are shaking from shock. Your hands are still because you are relaxed. Let them rest heavily on the mattress. Let the tension drain out of your fingertips. The assassin wants to run. You get to stay. Think about the hollowness the assassin feels, that void in the stomach. Now, fill your own internal space with warmth. Visualize a golden light filling your chest, pushing out any stress, any worry. You are whole. You are complete. The job is done, but for you, the job is simply to rest. The assassin looks at the door. They have to go back out into the cold. They have to escape. The night is not over for them. But for you, the journey is over. You have nowhere to go. You have no miles to walk. You have no shadows to hide in. The anticlimax of history allows us to let go of the need for excitement. We are addicted to drama, to high stakes. But this story tells us that high stakes are exhausting. High stakes are messy. High stakes suck. Low stakes are beautiful. A soft pillow is low stakes. A warm blanket is low stakes. A quiet room is low stakes. And they are the greatest treasures you can possess. So, let the assassin have their messy, awkward moment in the dark. Let them deal with the disappointment and the shaking hands. You turn away from that scene. You turn toward the softness. You turn toward the peace. You accept the quiet. You don't need a crescendo. You don't need a plot twist. You just need the gentle, fading fade out of consciousness. The moment is not anticlimactic for you. It is the perfect conclusion. The day ends, the eyes close, the breath slows. And unlike the assassin who stands in the dark feeling alone and cold, you drift into the dark feeling held and warm. The story of the day is over. The story of the night, the gentle, boring, wonderful night, has just begun. The deed is done. The room is left behind. You have slipped out the way you came, through the window, down the trellis, and back into the mud of the alley. In the movies, this is the part where the music tempo increases. The drums kick in. The assassin sprints across the rooftops, leaping 10-foot gaps, diving into haystacks, outrunning the guards in a display of athletic perfection. It is high energy. It is thrilling. But you are not in a movie. You are in a body that has just experienced a massive, traumatic spike of stress. And now you are experiencing the biological reality of the aftermath, the crash. You are standing at the base of the wall. You are not sprinting. You are leaning against the damp stones, gasping for air. You haven't run a single step yet, but your lungs are burning. This is the cost of the adrenaline dump. Your body flooded your system with energy for the fight, and now that the fight is over, it is demanding the debt be paid. Your legs feel strange. They do not feel like powerful springs ready to launch you into the night. They feel like bags of wet sand. The muscles are quivering, a microscopic, uncontrollable vibration that makes your knees knock together. Shake, shake, shake. You push yourself off the wall. You have to move. You have to get away from here. But the instinct to run is fighting with the physical inability to move quickly. You start to walk. It is a trudge. That's the only word for it. It is a heavy, flat-footed stomp through the muck. You are not a gazelle. You are a plow horse at the end of a long day. Every step requires a conscious decision. Lift right foot, plant right foot. Lift left foot, plant left foot. The parkour escape is a myth for a simple reason. Rooftops are dangerous. In the dark, covered in rain and moss, a rooftop is a death trap. One slip on a slate tile and you fall 3 stories to the cobblestones. You are too tired to balance. You are too tired to climb. So you stick to the ground.
You stick to the shadows. The paranoia we spoke of earlier is still there, but now it is dulled by exhaustion. You are entering the state of the fugitive's fatigue. This is a specific kind of tiredness. It is the weight of knowing that you cannot stop. You want to stop. Every alcove you pass looks inviting. Every pile of refuse looks like a bed. You want to just curl up in the gutter and close your eyes. The desire to sleep is becoming a physical pain behind your eyes. But you have to keep moving. You pull your hood down low, not to look cool, but to hide the fact that your face is pale and covered in a sheen of cold sweat. You tuck your shaking hands into your armpits to warm them and to stop them from swinging. You have to act normal. This is the hardest acting performance of your life. You are a fugitive. If a guard sees you, you die. But if you run, you look guilty. So you have to walk at a normal pace. You have to look like a drunk stumbling home from the tavern or a baker heading to work early. You have to suppress the urge to look over your shoulder. The muscles in your neck scream at you to turn around, to check, to see if they are coming. But you force your head to stay forward. Don't look back. Don't look back. The mental effort of this restraint is exhausting. It drains the last reserves of your glucose. You feel dizzy. The world swims slightly at the edges of your vision. The city seems to have grown since you entered it. The streets feel longer. The safe house feels impossibly far away. It is only a mile, but tonight a mile is an ocean. You become acutely aware of the weight of your gear again. In the heat of the moment, the adrenaline and the leather and the wet wool felt weightless. But now the gravity has returned, doubled. The cloak feels like it is made of lead. It drags on your shoulders, pulling you down, hunching your posture. The boots are anchors. The mud clinging to them adds another pound with every step. Clump, squelch, drag. Clump, squelch, drag. You are carrying the weight of the night. You are carrying the weight of the act. You are carrying the weight of your own survival. The cold, which you momentarily forgot, comes rushing back. And it is worse now. Your sweat is cooling on your skin, creating a layer of ice-cold moisture right against your chest. You start to shiver again, but it's a tired shiver, a slow, rhythmic convulsion that rattles your teeth. You pass a bakery. The smell of yeast and warm flour wafts out. It is the smell of safety. It is the smell of normal life. You are exiled from that life. You are a ghost passing through the world of the living, unseen and unwanted. You see a rat scurry across your path. It moves with more energy than you have. You envy the rat. It has a hole to run to. You are still out in the open. The fugitive's fatigue is a lonely feeling. It is the feeling of being hunted, even if the hunters haven't started yet. The silence of the street feels predatory. The wind sounds like a whistle. The drip of a gutter sounds like a footstep. But you are too tired to react. If the guards came now, you aren't sure if you could run. You might just surrender, just so you could sit down. Just let me sit. Just let me stop. That mantra plays in your head on a loop. Just let me stop. Now, listen to that mantra and realize that for you, the wish is granted.
You can stop. You are not the fugitive. You are not walking through the cold mud with leaden legs. You are not forcing yourself to stay awake to stay alive. You have reached the destination that the assassin is desperate for. You are horizontal. You are supported. You are still. Feel the heaviness in your own legs right now, but notice the difference. It is not the heaviness of exhaustion. It is the heaviness of relaxation. It is the good heavy. It is gravity hugging you, holding you down so you don't float away. Your legs don't have to take another step. They are done for the day. You can let the muscles go completely slack. There is no mud on your feet. There are no anchors on your ankles. The assassin has to keep walking. One block, another block. He turns a corner, stumbling slightly on a loose cobblestone. He catches himself on a wall. His breath comes in ragged gasps. He pushes off the wall. He keeps going. This relentless forward motion is hypnotic. Watching him trudge through the dark gray streets is like watching a pendulum that is slowly running out of momentum. It swings slower and slower. You can borrow his fatigue without borrowing his fear. Feel that deep, bone-deep tiredness, the kind of tiredness that makes your eyelids feel like they are made of iron. The assassin is fighting to keep them open. You can let them close. Snap. He steps on a twig. He flinches. His heart gives a weak flutter, but nothing happens. It was just a twig. He exhales. He is too tired to even be scared properly anymore. He is running on fumes. He is a machine that is out of fuel, rolling forward only on inertia. The safe house is getting closer, but the journey is the focus. The endless, repetitive placement of one foot in front of the other. Left, right, left, right. The rhythm is slow. It is the rhythm of a lullaby of escape. The adrenaline has completely left his system now. He is left with a hollowed-out shell of a body. His mind is blank. He is no longer thinking about the mission. He is no longer thinking about the target. He is barely thinking about the guards. He is just a body moving through space, seeking rest. The fugitive's fatigue is the ultimate sedative. It shuts down all higher brain functions. It reduces life to the basics. Breathe. Walk. Don't fall. As you watch him in your mind's eye, a dark figure receding down a long, dark tunnel of a street, you feel a sense of separation. He is walking away from you. He is taking the stress, the fear, and the cold with him. He is carrying the burden of the night away into the shadows. You remain here, stationary, anchored in comfort. You don't have to run. You don't have to hide. You don't have to pretend to be normal. You can just be tired. It is safe to be tired here. It is safe to be heavy. The assassin rounds the final corner. The trudge continues, but the end is in sight. The escape is almost over. The motion is slowing down. Step, pause, step, pause. The world is slowing down with him. The wind is dying down. The city is holding its breath. Your breath slows down to match. Inhale, pause, exhale, pause. The fugitive is exhausted. You are exhausted, but he must keep moving. And you have the luxury, the absolute privilege of stopping. Right now. Stop. Let the legs go. Let the arms go. Let the mind go. The chase is over. There is no one behind you. There is only the soft darkness ahead of you. The assassin walks on, fading into the gloom, a wary shadow leaving the stage. And you are left in the warm, quiet theater of sleep, watching the curtain fall. You have reached the door. It is not a grand entrance. It is a humble, water-warped door tucked away in the basement of a ruined tower, or perhaps a hidden cellar beneath a tailor shop. It doesn't matter where it is. What matters is what it represents. It is the finish line. You fumble with the iron key. Your fingers are numb, clumsy with the cold and the adrenaline crash. You drop the key once. Clink. You pick it up. You guide it into the keyhole. Click. The mechanism turns. It is stiff, but it yields. You push the door open. It groans on its hinges.
A low, welcoming sound. You step across the threshold. And then you close the door behind you. Thud. Slide the bolt. Clack. Drop the bar. Thump. Listen to those sounds. They are the sounds of finality. With that last heavy thud of the wooden bar falling into place, the world outside has been severed from the world inside. The wind is still howling out there. The rain is still falling. The guards might still be patrolling. But they are out there. You are in here. The seal is broken. The mission is done. The chase is over. You are in a small stone room. It is pitch black, but you know this room. You know where the flint is. You know where the tinder is. You move to the hearth in the center of the room. You kneel down. The stone floor is cold, but the air in here is still warmer than the street. It is dry. That is the greatest luxury, dryness. You strike the flint against the steel. Click. Another spark. Click. It catches on the dry moss you left there days ago. A tiny, fragile orange glow appears. You blow on it gently. Whoo. The glow brightens. It eats the moss. You feed it a twig, then another, then a small log. The fire catches. It snaps and crackles, sending a wave of golden light washing over the stone walls. The shadows retreat to the corners. The room is revealed. It is sparse. A table, a chair, a pile of furs in the corner. But right now, it looks like a palace. Now begins the shedding of the weight. This is a ritual of relief. You stand up before the growing fire. You can feel the heat radiating against your shins, against your frozen hands. It is a physical caress. You reach up and undo the clasp of your cloak. The heavy, wet wool, that sodden beast that has weighed you down for 12 chapters, slides off your shoulders. It hits the floor with a wet slap. You do not pick it up. You leave it there, a puddle of gray misery that belongs to the past. Your shoulders rise. Physically, you are instantly 2 inches taller. The pressure on your trapezius muscles vanishes. Next, the belt. You undo the heavy iron buckle, the leather strap, weighted down with the dagger, the pouches, the tools, falls away. Clatter. The constricting band around your waist is gone. You can take a full breath. Your stomach expands. Your ribs open up. Inhale, exhale. The chainmail, if you were wearing it, is next. It is a struggle to pull it over your head, a final wrestling match with the metal. But when it comes off, the feeling is euphoric. The thousands of steel rings that were pressing into your skin are gone. You are just wearing your linen tunic now. It is light, it is soft, it is breathing. But the best part remains. You sit on the wooden stool by the fire. You lift your left leg. You grab the heel of your boot. You pull. The mud sucks at it, but the leather gives way. The boot slides off. The rush of blood to your foot is instant. Your toes, which have been cramped and frozen for hours, suddenly have room to spread. You wiggle them in the warm air. You pull off the right boot. Thump. You are shoeless. You are weaponless. You are armorless. You are no longer an assassin. You are just a human being sitting by a fire. You lean forward, resting your elbows on your knees, holding your hands out to the flames. You watch the fire dance. It is hypnotic. Blue, orange, yellow. It swirls and leaps. It is the only thing moving in the room.
The heat penetrates the linen of your tunic. It sinks into your skin. It finds the chill in the bones we talked about earlier, and it dissolves it. The marrow warms up. The shivering stops completely, replaced by a heavy, languid warmth. Your eyes are stinging, but it is a good sting. It is the sting of eyelids that are desperate to close. You look at the corner of the room, the bed. It is a pile of furs, bearskins, sheepskins, thrown over a mattress of dry heather. Compared to the barn, compared to the roof, compared to the muddy ground, it is a cloud. You stand up from the stool. Your legs are heavy, but they don't hurt anymore. They are just done. You walk over to the furs. You collapse onto them. The sensation is overwhelming. The furs are soft and thick. They wrap around you. You pull a heavy woolen blanket, a dry one, over your body. You curl up, the fetal position again, but this time it is not for warmth or protection. It is for comfort. You feel the floor beneath you, solid and unmoving. You feel the roof above you, thick and secure. You feel the door barred against the world. There is nothing left to do. You don't have to listen for footsteps. The walls are too thick. You don't have to plan an escape. You are already gone. You don't have to fight. Your internal monologue, which has been racing for days, finally runs out of words. The guard dog in your brain looks at the fire, sighs, circles 3 times, and lies down to sleep. The silence in the room is not empty. It is full of the sound of the fire. Crackle, pop, hiss. It is a white noise that scrubs away the memories of the day. You watch the firelight playing on the ceiling. The shadows dance, but they are not scary shadows. They are slow. They are rhythmic. They are lulling you. Your eyelids flutter. They are so heavy. It feels like there are weights attached to your lashes. You fight to keep them open for 1 more second, just to verify that you are safe. You are safe. You let them close. Darkness. But it is a warm darkness, a velvet darkness. And now, as the assassin drifts away, let us turn to you, the listener. You have walked the road with him. You have felt the cold rain. You have felt the heavy hood. You have felt the fear and the exhaustion. But now you are sharing his reward. Feel the weight of your own body sinking into your mattress. It is just as heavy as his, just as relaxed. The gravity is pulling you down, anchoring you in safety. Feel the warmth of your own covers. They are better than furs. They are lighter, softer, warmer. Feel the security of your room. Your door is locked. Your world is safe. The story is over. The history is done. The medieval world is fading away. The smell of the smoke is gone. The sound of the horses is gone. The cold stone is gone. All that is left is the warmth. All that is left is the heaviness in your limbs. Your breathing slows down. Match the rhythm of the dying fire. In and out. Slow and deep. The assassin is asleep. He has found his peace in the chaos of history. He is deep in a dreamless slumber, recharging for a tomorrow that feels very far away. You can join him in that peace. You don't have to carry the gear anymore. You have shed your own armor, the armor of your job, your stress, your responsibilities. You have taken it all off and left it at the door. You are just a person, warm and safe. The fire fades to glowing embers, a soft, pulsing red light in the dark. It gets dimmer and dimmer. The final ember fades to black, and in that darkness, there is perfect silence, perfect rest, sleep. The assassin is asleep. He has found his peace in the chaos of history. He is deep in a dreamless slumber, recharging for a tomorrow that feels very far away. You can join him in that peace. You don't have to carry the gear anymore. You have shed your own armor, the armor of your job, your stress, your responsibilities. You have taken it all off and left it at the door. You are just a person, warm and safe. The fire fades to glowing embers, a soft, pulsing red light in the dark. It gets dimmer and dimmer. The final ember fades to black. And in that darkness, there is perfect silence, perfect rest, sleep.